What's up, internet families and friends? Today is going to be the part 2 of the mini class about cinematic percussion. So we're going to dive really deep into the mixing process, and hopefully at the end of the video you're going to be more comfortable by composing and mixing your own strikes. So let's jump into it.
History deleted.
Alright, so next what we're gonna do, you're gonna take your favorite filter and we're gonna cut some lows on every one of those channels, but make sure, since we're working with the low end right now, just make sure it's on linear phase. So this is gonna create some latency on your plugin, but it's gonna clean the lower end in a cleaner way. Okay, so let's see what we have. Usually I don't like to have some really low end on the cinematic percussion, just because I like to keep that space for my sub in my drop. So maybe we could cut that around 45, 50, something like that. As you can see, it's not gonna change a lot, it's just gonna clean that section right here. I'm gonna leave it at 50, okay? So same thing for the next. So since we already have some information at 50 Hertz, on this one, I'm gonna cut it a bit higher. All right. Maybe 90. And as you can see right now, I'm soloing every track so you can hear the difference. But of course, you want to do that by listening to the ensemble, so everything at the same time. So I'm gonna go with around 85 for this one. Probably the same thing for the next one right here. Let's have a listen. And I really like to keep an eye on the spectrum analyzer while I'm doing that. So this way I can hear, but I can also see what I'm doing. All right, and finally just the sticks. For the higher parts like this, as you can see, most of the information is right here, but don't clean it up too much. Like, you don't need to cut it at, I don't know, 1K or something like that. Just remove maybe that kind of resonance right there. So this way you keep some information in the 500 area. Okay, now everything's clean. What I want to do is go back in each of the strikes and we're gonna listen to them all together. And I want to clean in the lower end of the register, so maybe around 100 and 300 Hertz, something like that. So I'm just gonna clean a little bit. Also, something we could do is to control the lower end with some dynamic EQ. So let's try that. As you can see, we have a spike right here. Let me listen to something. Let's go into the next one. And all the decisions I'm making right now are all based on my own taste. So you don't have to copy all the EQ settings and like dB reduction and all of that, of course, because it's going to change depending on your cinematic percussion libraries. But a good thing to remember is to cut the low end and also just make sure the lower register, like I said, in between 100 and 300, is well controlled and doesn't have too much peaks, because there's a lot of muddiness usually around I don't know, 200 hertz or something like that. So just make sure you can control that. All right, so the processing I'm using is very particular. So I think I've combined 2 or 3 videos I saw online to get this chain. I can't remember exactly the video where I found those. So if you guys know it, just write it down in the comment section. I want to give credits where it's due. So usually the first thing I do is to reduce the volume input, because most of the time my waveform looks like this. So that's why I'm using utility just to reduce this input right here. So this way we're not gonna clip. And this is gonna be important because I'm using a lot of analog emulation in this chain. So if you're peaking, it's gonna create some harmonics or distortion that we don't necessarily want. So with that said, the first plugin I'm using is this NLS channel, and we're going to just use the drive button right here. So let me show you what it does. So yes, it increased the volume, but it also created a bit of distortion into the sound. So we don't want too much of it. So let's go with that amount. Next step, I put another EQ. So this EQ is really to shape your ensemble together and to make it fit in your song. So I'm just gonna bypass all those bands, and we're gonna listen to the song. See right here. Right here is a bit muddy, so this is why we're going to reduce that, maybe 3 or 4 dB. And I'm not gonna cut the low end in that case because I've done it earlier. And something else I like to do is to cut all the side information at minimum 100 hertz. So let's see, right here on the sides. This is not something you would have to do if you're doing like cinematic music, but in my case, since I'm doing kind of a hybrid of cinematic and electronic music, I just want to make sure everything below 100 hertz is really mono. So this is why I'm cutting everything right here. All right, so the next step, we're going to use some compression, and I've used some compressor in different stages of the channel. But this is always something you have to listen to and then make a decision if you want to use a plugin or not, if it really enhances the tone and vibe you're looking for. So next I'm using this Puig Child 670. So in this case, the plugin is doing maybe 2 to 3 of gain reduction. You don't want to do it more than that on each stages. And especially with those tracks, you're going to see later, we're going to compress them a bit more with some limiter. So maybe like something like 2. Yeah, just go with maybe 2 of gain reduction in that case. Okay, next we're going to use this EQ. Now on this EQ, this is usually what I'm starting with, but like I said, we can tweak those parameters just to fit the songs we're working on right now. So this is with, this is without. So right now I feel like if I'm using this EQ on this particular ensemble, the sticks are really too loud. So let me turn that down. I really feel like this 500 hertz helped to clean the sound a bit. Let me show you right here. So maybe this is too much, but around 2 dB it's good. Around the 500 hertz in the lower end. Don't want too much, of course, but 50 hertz is good. Then in the higher register, let's see what this sounds like. Maybe I could turn that up a bit. Let's listen to the song. Let's go with the 3K, and I'm pretty sure this one's gonna be fine also. All right, so let's keep it that way. The next plugin, I think it's a compressor. Oh, it's another EQ. This is also a preset I'm usually starting with. It's another EQ analog bass model, and I usually just tweak some parameters to fit the songs. So we can have a listen, just A and B, but I'm not gonna go through all of this. This is really subtle, so I can show you real quick. So 1 dB in the 16K, 1 dB around the 8K, -1 at the 4K, 2K is +1, 0 right here, -0.5 in the 500 Hertz. So the 250 we have -1 or 2. Maybe we could remove that since we let's put it right here. I like a little bump around this area and 0 right here, so cool. The next step, we're gonna use this compressor. So I'm just gonna reduce the output right here, so -1 on the EQ. Now on this API compressor, I have it set to hard on loud. The type is old. The threshold, as you can see, is to reduce around 2 dB of gain reduction. The attack is at 10. The ratio is at 4 and the release at 1 right now. And the output is turned on just a bit. We could put that on analog. It's gonna create some more variation on the compressor. And let's listen to it in the mix and you're gonna see the difference. So can you guys hear how it brings the cinematic percussion, all the strikes really up front in the mix? So this is without, and this is with. And I'm gonna turn down again the little sticks because I want those more in the background. All right, cool. So next is just an SSL EQ. As you can see, I don't have anything right here. I just put that to create some color on the sound. So it's like if I play it, it's not gonna change a whole lot. I just like to treat my strikes with a lot of attention. Usually I put a lot of those more analog emulation on my vocals, but I don't know, I just feel like it's the right thing to do on my strikes as well. So next on my chain, I have this gold fuzz. So this is a intelligent dynamic EQ, let's call it that way. So we can recover right here. We have that tame knob, we have that bias and that brighten. And then we can choose which area we want to control. So let me play that. Can we reset? Okay, perfect. So that's the recover. Tame. So let's use the tame. So we're gonna control a bit of the low end. We're also gonna use some recover, but I'm gonna cut the higher end. Let's do an A-B comparison. I feel like this way the strikes comes more alive. Perfect. And for the last step, we really have to listen and make a decision if we want to use those plugins. But usually what I'm doing is to use a transient shaper and route that into clip control in trash, but it's a multiband clip control, and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing with that. And finally, I use a limiter. So let's just try with the transient shaper right now. Maybe just crank up the attack a bit and the sustain down. So does that help our sounds? I think so in that case, because all the attacks are really popping out of the mix. We could turn that down a bit. So I'm gonna reduce the attack a bit and put the sustain around there. I think this way is good. Next, we're gonna use isotope trash, and we're gonna use the clip control, but it's gonna be on multiband. We're gonna have 3 bands, and we're gonna clip them until it starts to distort, and then we're gonna volume match it. Okay, so let me show you. So the clip control is here on the distort clip control. We're gonna turn down the drive, the gain. The mix is at 100%. So let's hear first. We're gonna select what we want to clip. Maybe at around 130. Right. So we're gonna increase the drive. See right there? That's a bit too much. Let's play that again. All right, so let's keep it at 2.6, and we're gonna reduce the gain. And then we're gonna click bypass and see if it's the same volume. No, so let's bring that down, maybe -10. That's really a tedious process, but I swear it's gonna pay off at the end, okay? So stay with me. So this is width. Okay, to my ears, it sounds about the same volume. So let's do that with the mid-band. Clip control. Some drive. So this is too much, as you can see. So 3.5. Let's bypass that. Pretty much the same volume also. And finally for the it's pretty much the same volume because the gain right now is at -14. And finally the top band. Sounds pretty okay to my ear, so I have the drive at 4 and the gain at -16.5. So let's see what it sounds like. So this is width. And this is without. So the difference is really where the peaks are hitting at their highest. So right here you can see that, where is it? It's gonna peak at 7, -8. Let's say -8, and this way peaks at -4. So we've gained like 3 dB of gain reduction, and at the same time when you distort something it's gonna be a little bit louder, so we just gain a bit of room. So this way our limiter on the master bus is gonna work less hard. All right, let's keep it that way. And finally I'm using a limiter, so let's see what we have. So I just keep the style on modern, but you can play with the different style right there. And what I'm looking for is about 2 dB of gain reduction. Okay. And then I'm gonna bring the output down, so maybe -4. All right, so let's have a listen. This is with the processing and without. See how it sounds muddy this way? Now, if you guys listen to this and are like, oh, it's missing something, that's okay. We can go back. We could maybe copy that EQ. We could remove all of this. Maybe we want to add something. Maybe we want to add a bit of a lower end right here. So let's put it that way. Let's listen to this. Let me start that right here. Maybe we don't want to use a transient master because of the attack and sustain doesn't let the lower end really breathe. So let's try to remove it and remove the EQ we just put. So this is without, this is with. Yeah, in that case I don't really like what the transient master is doing, because I feel like it cuts the low end too fast, and because of that the strikes really sound like just snappy, and I don't really like that. So let's remove this and remove that. So yeah, finally let's have a listen. So that's gonna be it for today. If you guys have any questions, please write them down in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.